So again, Roel, it's just so honored to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I love your journey, how you stepped on the shamanic path at 17. I mean, that you've been teaching for decades now. I have to tell you that, almost decades. So how were you called to shamanism?
Yeah, it's an interest. I'm always like thinking about that question because I'm being asked more often, and I think life sort of prepares us for things, or seeds are planted at a very early age, and then later when we look back, we sort of see a storyline. And so I think for me, a very crucial part in this journey was my parents divorced when I was 6 months, and my father wasn't well, so I didn't see him often. And then at age 4, my mother died. And so I came to live with my grandparents. And so, I was, this big, and I had that amount of sadness and grief. And what happened as a child, that I got really interested in the other world, the unseen, because I was basically looking for my mom. And I remember as a child that I was spending a lot of time looking inward and connecting with nature. And I have vivid memories of just, sitting next to the lavender and just really feeling the lavender and feeling the embrace of the moon and feeling the tree. And so later, as I grew older, at my age 12, I started to get really into trouble at school, and at age 14, I got involved with drugs, and I found a way to temporarily ease my pain. And one of the things I really struggled with was being on this planet. I just saw so much sad things, so much hurt, and I didn't know how to deal with that. I felt really affected by, it was in the time that there were a lot of images from Ethiopia, these children with these big bellies. And I remember that I didn't understand because we had so much food. Like, as a child, it was hard. And so as I grew older, I really pushed the world away. Like, I didn't want to be here. And things got bad, and I struggled with suicidal tendencies and self-harming. And I was really in a bad place. But there was another storyline, and that was my interest for indigenous cultures. From an early age, probably 9 or 10, I was really fascinated by different indigenous cultures, and I was very fascinated by their art. It was as it spoke to me in a way that I didn't understand, but I was just really fascinated by the patterns, by all these shapes, the earthy colors, the masks, all these things. It felt like something that I knew in some strange way. And so I started to read more about shamanism probably from age 15, 16, and I started to visit events in my local city, an evening on meditation, an evening on yoga, things like this, just to explore, because the spiritual life or spiritual traditions was something that always came back in the literature that I was reading and the things that I was exploring. And so I met my first teachers when I was 17. And at that point, I was a real mess. I was not in a good place. And I was really struggling a lot with suicidal tendencies. And so I went to this sound healing event they were doing. And it just opened me, and I started crying. And it really impacted me. So, I asked, this was way before the internet, and I asked their number, and, they were doing ceremonies, they were doing a lot of work in nature, and they were teaching people on how to journey. And I had read Michael Harner's book, The Way of the Shaman, and I tried a little bit of it, but it didn't really work. I was always in my head, and, it was hard for me. So I started training with them, and then I was 17. And in Belgium, we have a very interesting shamanic practice. There was a Hungarian shaman. His name was Joska Sos, and he lived in Antwerp. And he was born as a shaman in his village, but then later came to work here in the mines in Antwerp. And in the mines, he started remembering these wisdoms. And he was what he called a sound shaman. So he would work with sound, with song, with singing bowls, with drums, and really go into the sound. And there he would meet what he called sound beings and light beings. And he had a big influence in Belgium because he trained many people to do shamanic sound work in the style that just came through him. He wasn't trained to do that. It just, it just developed through his dedication to the practice. And so here in Belgium, we have a shamanic thing going on where there's a lot of sound being used. And yeah, that's pretty special to see how this one man just influenced so many practitioners. And so my teachers, they were students of his. And so they were doing a lot of sound work. And at one point they started, I played a bit of didgeridoo, and they asked me, oh, do you want to play didgeridoo in one of our sound ceremonies? And I did. And then it sort of grew. And I started to do fire for their ceremonies. And they just, as the years went by, I was just assisting more and more. And then at one point, people started asking me to give ceremonies. And, I asked permission from my teachers, which I got. And then this whole other thing evolved. And here we are today. So that's sort of how it came into being. And when I reflect now, I can really see that, at least for me, just life is always preparing me. And one of the things that are really important for me to see is that heartbreak and grief and, these, when life just really hits us, these are often times where, at least in my life, the seeds sort of crack open and a new life just wants to come. And that's something that I hold very dear to my heart, and that I hold very close in my practice. Like life sort of gave me the opportunity to understand a bit of suffering. And so when I work with clients or with groups, I really honor suffering too. Like I used to always think or wish that suffering would go away if I would do enough healing work, but my practice showed me and life showed me that it is for me to honor grief also, to honor sadness, to honor our trauma, and not to be lived by it, but to also honor the pain. It has a place in life. It's just part of life. And it doesn't need to be an endless suffering, but it's part of the journey too. So the broken heart gets a place in my ceremony, because we're all, on this journey for, a full life. And I think tears are part of it, and joy is part of it, and beauty is part of it. And it's just one life cracking open seeds.
Well, what I really love about that, Roel, too, is it wasn't just your own personal suffering that it was this global piece. And I know probably a lot of our listeners right now are sensing that same thing. whether it's the fear or all the things that are happening globally, and yet how at the same time you were also holding this other place of spirit, that it was still, you were showing up for meditation classes, and you were still like, you were holding both. So I think that's awesome. I think that's amazing. I think that's part of your message, is that it isn't, you don't have to get caught over here. You can feel it, but know spirit's there too.
True, true. And I remember vividly, I was sitting with one of my teachers, and at one point he told me that his most important teacher was darkness. And first I didn't understand, but he struggled at one point in his life with alcoholism, and that just brought him to the shamanic path. He went into that spiral of despair to the point where he had to choose, and he chose a new life. And this is just initiation, and it happens, in a million people. It happens in a million different ways, but it is. I always see it as the cracking open of seeds. It's there are gifts in it, and sometimes that's hard to see, and that's also something to honor, that it's sometimes hard to see.
Right.
Yeah.
And where that place in your bio where you talk about using sound, and so appreciate that it has its roots, but you've taken it to other places. So, like, even using it not only ceremonies, but in your openings, your invocations, all those kind of things. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. There is this thing we need to do in the shamanic practice. We need to slow down and start listening. And this is the practice, basically. Everything is communicating, but we're often just only broadcasting, not receiving. We're in our minds and we have busy schedules. And so the shamanic practice is based on, shifting our busy mind and becoming more hollow. And singing is one of those practices that really guides you into that stiller place. And movement is the same, dance, singing. When we really surrender to that, it is just you become part of where you are. You become stillness, and you are, by nature, a listening being. We are always, like, our body is listening nonstop. We feel energy with our skin in the same way that we feel the warmth of water when we're taking a bath. That's how I teach my students. Like, if you want to feel energy, just when you take your next bath, just when you go in, notice what you're doing with your attention. You're like feeling with your skin. And so this is how I feel energy. And sound is a place that brings you to that stillness where you can really listen and receive. But it also then becomes its own reality. It is a direct manifestation of frequency. We are invited into a realm that is mysterious and endless, and yet it never changes. One of my teachers always says there's no evolution in spirit. It's already all there. But it is unfolding in our consciousness. It's unfolding on this planet. It's unfolding in the universe. It's such a mysterious thing. And so when I started singing and, going more into that place, I just allowed my voice to change. And this became a whole reality by itself. And I've been doing that for, 25 years now. And songs would change, and then voices would change, and then other voices would come. And sometimes I spontaneously would meet with them as I was singing. I would meet with these beings and they would share things and I would just keep singing. And then as this practice developed, I started to get songs for people during healing ceremonies or, one-on-one healings. I would ask songs and a specific song would come, I would sing it, and then after that it would be gone again. And so this is how, in my personal connection with the spirit world, this is sort of how I do this work. I always go empty-handed. Unless I'm teaching something very specific, like people come to work on soul retrieval, or I do this 2-year practitioner program, which has a very structured thing. But when I'm sitting here, for example, or we before we recorded, we talked a little bit, and I don't know where it's going to go. We're going to journey together, but I will ask the journey, and then the journey will lead. And this is a place that the spirits always told me that I should be. Like, otherwise my ego would get too much involved. And I'm totally not proclaiming that I don't have an ego, because I definitely have. But when I'm singing, I try to just get out of the way and just let the song sing. And it's a beautiful practice. It's a very humbling practice. And I just really love exploring the song lines. And as I, during the years, I had the opportunity to be in many circles, and sometimes I was asked to sing. And I also had traditional people telling me, like, I think this was a song of my ancestors. And, it's like these things happen, and I don't know, I'm not claiming that it is, but I've seen that happen like several times. And it is interesting that the songs change if the group is different and if I'm in another location, and it's just interesting. But if you would ask me to explain it, I can't. Like, it's mystery, and I love it that it's mystery, and I don't need to understand. But it is there's a medicine in it, and also for myself, like, people share that they feel a medicine in it, but I also receive that medicine. And of course, my heart needs that medicine too, like all hearts need, this flow of love and compassion.
Well, and I know we talked about even that you sing in your invocations. Instead of, like, I've seen a lot of people open directions in a rote way. They always call on certain things in certain directions. And not that that isn't okay, to follow a system, but I really love that being empty-handed, being empty-handed when you walk in. Do you want to do an invocation for us? Would that be okay? Yeah.
Of course, I love doing that. So let's do that. So I invite you to close our eyes and close your eyes with me. And as we are all parts of this one beautiful river of life, and we all just know, as we are gathering in this beautiful summit, we just know that spirit, that life is also cracking open seeds within our soul, because we all are part of this river. We all have a message. We all have a medicine to share with our family, with our friends, in the supermarket. We all have a light to shine. And so I invite you to really connect with your heart. And as we are connecting with so many people all around the world, with our heart, let us take a moment to breathe into our heart. and we breathe into our heart, and we breathe into all that this heart has felt. So we are honoring all the beauty in our heart, but we also honor the grief that we have experienced, the moments that we felt lost. We honor it all, and we just allow this light of life to fill our being. And from this heart-centered place, let us connect to the infinite, all around you, all within you, streaming to us from nature, from our family, friends, our teachers. And we just honor this great river of life for streaming. And as I'll sing a song for our hearts, just take a moment to bathe in the river of light. And so I invite you to breathe into your heart, and let's just give thanks together to this beautiful river of life, the spirit, for this one day that we have in this body, and for the enormous gift of love in our heart. And I always like to end an invocation with just breathing a few times together, really anchoring the gift of this moment, not only for ourselves, but also for our loved ones and the people that we will meet, for our surroundings and the spirits of the place where you are, and especially in these times for the world, for all our brothers and sisters and all of nature. That the blessings from our circle may multiply and bring peace to all hearts. And then I invite you to breathe once more and just open your eyes.
I have to find a tissue. Knowing how impactful that is, and you and I talked about when we were first visiting, I think in the Western world that there's so many that are called to really express their voice. And I know you teach a whole class on sound, but what would you encourage our listeners to get their ego out of the way?
Yeah, I think it's the same as if we do something to become hollow, it is about finding the flow of things. And so what I would actually suggest is finding a rhythm or even a song that you like, or something like a chant or a mantra, and just going into that, but then also allowing yourself to feel the flow, to feel. I experience this like as rivers. It's a river. I don't know where it's going, but it's a river, and you can feel that river. And the river it's water, but it's being held by something. And this is the mystery. I don't understand it. And one of the things is the practice of just allowing yourself to flow with a sound that you like, a chant, a mantra, a song, doesn't matter. And then allowing yourself to find that river and to see if it wants to take you somewhere else. And the other thing I would highly recommend is dancing. Even if you want to, liberate your voice, because dancing is, it's very hard to lie in dancing. Dancing shows you where you are holding yourself back. And when you allow yourself to become free in dancing, and so I'm not talking about like a choreography or things that are like a tango or whatever, but like just free movement. Just allowing yourself to honor where you might not be as open, and you don't have to force yourself, but finding rivers in the practice. See how the river is moving. And then as you go into that river, the process is the same. It's a process of surrendering, and there's a state of listening that is happening. When you are becoming the dance, you are in a stillness, but your soul is listening to the river. Like the song doesn't really work well if the river is going this way and I'm trying to force it that way. It doesn't, it breaks it. And so often my songs are very simple. Sometimes they're very complex. It's like a dance. Like if I would do a dance practice every day, sometimes, I'm in this still place and my movements are like this, and then the other day I might be, there might be a fierce, fiery thing going on, and it becomes a whole different reality. And so I think using the body is a very good way to basically liberate yourself, because it is one part of liberation, and then allowing yourself to go into the stillness and becoming the listener. And the listening is a feeling practice. It's not, I tend to hear things, like I'm an auditory person, I think that's the correct word. But it is more feeling than it is hearing. It's like, it's a flow, it's an energy, it's a consciousness. And so you can also practice this in nature. Go sit with a tree and just ask a tree, oh tree, would you be so kind to sing with me and see what happens? Or go explore. Is there a different song when you're at the beach? Is there a different song when you're holding a rock? And it doesn't need to, like I find that simplicity is the way to really find the river. And so I'm not thinking about, when I'm singing, I'm not thinking about, does it sound well? Does it have like a structure? I don't know. Like I started with this bundle of leaves that one of my students made for me. I really like it. It's like from reed that is next to the river here in Belgium, and then I felt the drum and this shruti box, and I just, oh, they wanna sing, so I just changed it and followed that river. Yeah. So it's really the most important thing is to listen and to allow the river to flow. And what definitely helps people is also when you sing to move a little bit, and maybe even use a rhythm with your hands, or if you have a drum or a rattle or anything, and just, allow it to be simple. I teach my students, like I do this training on shamanic sound healing, and in the beginning it's building these foundations, but it's really very simple. Like it's not at all complex. It's very simple, but it's all about allowing the depth. And the depth is not knowing. That's the depth. It's like, it's in the not knowing that the magic happens. Because that's where we're hollow. And I don't always get there, like as fully as I sometimes get there. It's a practice, for me at least, it's a shamanic practice. I practice a lot. But and it's a beautiful thing. And so to make it very specific, maybe, move your body, maybe clap your hands a little bit, and just start with Ayadana, Ayadana. And I would just, I've sang stuff like that for hours. And just feeling the river. And sometimes you will just notice that your melody changes. But then you're not trying to force it to go. So really, very simple melody is the foundation. That's what I like about the shamanic practice. I like it because it's so simple. Like some people can make it very complex, and there's definitely a lot of complexity going on. But I love just the opportunity to return to this drum. And it's just one beat at a time. And that's my teacher. Because in my mind, I can make stuff really complex, and then I get lost. But then I return to this drum, and I can return to that one melody. Just go there and allow it to carry you.
It reminds me when my kids were little, I would sing to them, and that movement, it had that movement, and a little bit of dance, or maybe just, rocking them and singing songs I didn't know, of course, just made up but it's like, and then I stopped, and it never mattered who was around because it was about the innocence of who they were. That's where I was connected in with. So it reminds me of that same place of childlike innocence where we're in that, it's okay, wherever you are, to put that voice to it. Yeah. And not be like, oh, who can hear me? Yeah.
True. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when we enter a room where there's a newborn child, we immediately go into the sacred and into the listening mode. We go into the place of soul. It's very interesting. You going to see a newborn child, you become quiet, and your energy is listening, and you feel that innocence and everything is possible. Like a baby is like the promised land. Anything can flourish and grow. And so it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because many people just hold their child and they just sing and they allow what we've been talking about. And so if you if people that are listening or watching, if you have that experience of ever singing for a child like that, that's your entry point. Just remember, go back and allow things to go. And again, simplicity. Just simplicity. Yeah.
Well, and I love that, part of our shamanic work is, whether we're holding a child or whether we're holding a pine cone or connecting with a tree or the ocean, it really is, we're here for these. It isn't the I ego. It is, yes, it's there, but we're here to dream something else bigger in. We're here for the future generations. And I know, so share about that role, just this place where you feel like we're called as shamans to be in listening and bringing through.
Yeah, it's a very deep question that you're asking. Personally, for me, I've been a year and a half ago, my grandmother died, and she was the one who raised me, and she was my last living ancestor. And I knew that she was going to die because I had dreams, and my journeys, they told that she wouldn't make the summer, and it happened. And so it was, beautiful last moment that I had with her, and I'm very grateful and blessed. But it also started for me personally a process of really seeing my own mortality, and this journey in this body is always changing. And so I have been reflecting on, okay, my time is limited. What is my most important gift? And for me, I think it is bringing forward moments for people to listen and just to, gather hearts. And, with this pandemic situation, I started going online and doing live streams, often with very large groups. And it also just made me feel that even in, this online setting, if we really go into the circle, we're in the circle. So I feel these times are also training us to become more conscious of the ethereal, and so what is the role of shamanism in these times and these spiritual practices? I think it's to bring us to the place of listening. And one thing I've been reflecting on is, in New Thought, it's mentioned as involution. And involution means that within the seed there is already the blueprint of what it's going to become. And so we can look at reality like we are being pushed from our past, like, I am like this because this and this and this and this and this happened, which is totally acceptable, and that's how we think. But let's imagine that I'm an oak tree and I'm standing here and I'm growing and I'm just unfolding into the blueprint that is already there. So I am being pulled by the future. And this is a very interesting concept. And that's the one that I sort of explore. So I am sitting here and I am now listening to future. Like, how can I grow? How can I grow? How can I grow? And this is the idea that really sort of captured me when I received the idea from the New Thought teachings. And it's highly influenced my shamanic practice also. And so I believe that as a world community, we are birthing a new species, and we are birthing a new reality, and there's many things that we need to let go of, and there's many things we need to grow into. But again, in the same way as we would practice a song, simplicity is the path. I truly believe this. And technology is expanding so fast and things are so complex, but if we do not listen, where are we coming from? And so my practice, or what I would really like to share in my magnificent short dance on the planet, is that practice of listening and allowing the field, allowing the river to work and getting out of the way. And when we do this as a group, which we will do in this session, it reveals things. And we get to stand in life from a surrendered place. And what is very important in that practice, and what is, at least for me, the biggest challenge, is the not knowing. Because the not knowing, when it's really not knowing, can sometimes be terrifying.
Right.
Like you just know you have to, unfold in a new way, and you're terrified because you don't know. Like you really don't know. And yeah, that's initiation, that's part of it. And when that happens, you need community, you need a friend, you need someone to believe in you. Like my grandmother, she was definitely my first spiritual teacher. She was an amazing, amazing woman. And she's one of the reasons why I'm here. I wouldn't be here if she wasn't, holding me. And she believed in me. And that's probably the biggest gift that she ever gave me. She believed in me in the darkest times of my life. She was just believing in me. And she always said to me, just keep walking, just keep walking. She said it so many times, just keep walking. And I did. And so I would like to share this journey with the group of going to that place of listening, but also to connect with future generations, because we are part of the ancestral line, even if we don't have children ourselves, or we birth children, so we don't really have them. They have to do their own thing, of course. But we are the ancestors of those that will come. That's us. And look at how much love we can find in our hearts. It's endless. It's magnificent. And so what if we can meet with them, or with a representative of them, and just really ask how we can grow on a personal level in our life, with all the things that's going on, because we're with so many people in this circle, so a lot of stuff is going on, and we all have our challenges in our own way. So how can we grow on a personal level and become more of dream keepers ourselves, and not only keeping a dream, but revealing a dream? Because, it's also time, it's beautiful to meditate under the tree, and then it's beautiful to go out and plant some seeds. It's
right.
yeah, it's what we need to do. And then the other question that I want to guide us through is listening, like we all have the dream of this world in our heart. It's just there, the infinite just planted this beautiful dream of a beautiful world in our heart, dream of paradise. And so the question would be, like, how can we grow that dream? And how can this dream, this paradise that we see in our heart, how can it inform our thoughts and our words and our actions? So that's where I would like to go.
Beautiful. And yet still keep it a mystery,
Always.
Yeah.
Open
for it. Okay, that sounds awesome.
Yeah?
I'm turning it over to you.
Okay, let's go. So let's close our eyes, taking a few deep breaths. And let's start with feeling the circle. We're with so many people all around the world. It's beautiful. And we are honoring the hearts that we are. And we see with the eye of our heart that the infinite life is streaming through us. We are all part of the one river. Everything, all of creation, is this one river. And life is flowing through us and is here as us. We are nature, we are spirit, we are human beings. And just breathe in that place of knowing, the knowing of the heart that we are life. And in the same way that we are a drop within this mighty river, we allow ourselves to be carried. And in this journey that we're going to make, now bring forward the frequency of joyful expectation. Life is allowing us to be here. So just bring forward, like, oh, life, I'm opening my heart for more vision, for more connection. And then breathe in that expectation. And not that you need to receive anything, but it's a frequency. Like beautiful things will come my way. The sun will shine on my face. I will see flowers again, playing children. And this is my sacred temple, this beautiful world. And then breathe in a few more times and feel your body. And now focus on the intention of our gathering in this summit of Dreamkeepers. And now in the same way that you would listen to the warmth of water in a bath, just feel with your skin the light of the infinite that is all around you. The light of spirit. And this light is streaming within you. And you just allow yourself to feel that light. And then focus inwards into your heart. O light of the infinite, please help me to open myself to what wants to grow, from within my heart, from within my soul. And then breathe in again and just envision this path into the great emptiness, a path of light. And you walk, and all around you is the light of the infinite. And you walk this path, and you connect deeper to your heart as you are walking. So breathe into your heart, and in the distance you can see a bright light shining. It is a representative of the future generations, a being of light waiting for you. And as you come closer, you see the loving smile of this beautiful being greeting you. And as you stand in front of this being greets you and speaks to you. Beloved ancestor, I can see the intention in your heart. You came to listen. You came to find. You came to listen from this place of the sacred in your heart. Thank you, beloved ancestor, for following your vision for the world, for life, for yourself. We honor that you are here. And so you breathe into your heart. And take a moment to honor the future generations in your own way, from your own heart. And again, breathe into your heart and see how your heart is connected to the heart of this beautiful being. And you close your eyes and you allow this blessing light to fill your being. As together we ask the future generations, please guide us in how we can grow into more loving beings. Guide us in how we can share the gifts of our soul and work together for a world that is beautiful and just. How can we become rivers of grace on this planet? And then just allow your heart to listen. Breathe into your heart. And just feel the vision of the world that is shining in your heart. As together we ask the future generations, oh future generations, we are asking for guidance so that we, your ancestors, may walk in a beautiful way and help bring forward this beautiful world that we see in our hearts. And then breathe into your heart and open yourself for the blessings of the future generations and the river of light that is streaming here. And so breathe into your heart once more, breathing in these blessings and anchoring them in your heart, in the cells of your body, in your mind, in your spirit. And this beautiful being of light looks at you and speaks to you once more. Beloved ancestor, I have a gift for you, to remember that your heart is full of seeds. And in the hands of this beautiful being appears a gift for you. And so you open your heart to receive this gift, breathing it in so it may be part of you and of your life's journey. And then you breathe in again. And it is now time to return. So you give thanks to this beautiful being for this gathering, knowing that you may return in the future to be inspired and guided. And then you breathe in again into your heart as you see how this being of light disappears. And you feel how this great emptiness that is around you is filled with light. And you breathe into your heart and you feel your body. And you can move your hands and your feet while you feel the gifts. You feel the path of light. You feel the meeting with this beautiful being that has guided you in how you can grow the gifts of your soul and how you can grow your vision for the world. And so together, feel this circle gathering from all over the world. And let's envision this beautiful light that is in the center of our circle. As we dedicate the gifts of this gathering to the well-being of all living beings without exception. Envision how this light streams through the web of life, through the hearts of all, through time. May this light multiply and fill hearts, all hearts, with peace. May this light continue to grow until all beings are happy, until all beings are free. And so breathe in again. And then as you open your eyes, bring with you this energy. Don't end the ceremony. The ceremony is just getting started. You have these gifts. It is time to plant seeds together.
Holy cow, Roel. There are no words except thank you. Gracias, gracias, gracias. Yeah.
Thank you too.
I'm going to come back to this one again and again. And it almost, I do have to put in here, how can people find more of you?
Yeah, just roelcrabbe.com is the website. And yeah, I'm there. I have a Facebook page too. I started doing free 90-minute online workshops every month since the pandemic started. I'm going to keep doing that because it's beautiful to do together. It's similar to what we've been doing here, but a bit longer 90-minute sessions. And so people can just join. And the intention is just to, build the tribe of the heart, and just, I just teach and share and sing, and we laugh together and we cry together and we keep moving forward. Yeah.
Well, and I loved your comment before we went into Journey, is that having somebody that can hold you and help you and, hear you.
Yeah. And I think, this time where we are sharing a lot of things online, you can also really find friends, in these circles. And I think it's really important that, as many of us are also going through, the shedding of old skin, and sometimes it's just hard. I have my people taking care of me. I have, my elders where I go, and people that help me and guide me when it's rough. And I think that's also a very important message. Like, this path, the path of life isn't like always easy. And so reaching out or meeting with people or making small groups or meditating together or whatever, I think that's really valuable in these times. It's crucial, actually.
Yeah. Well, and I guess before we close up, any further words of wisdom or?
Yeah, words of wisdom. I think what comes to mind and to heart is keep it simple. Yeah. And just speak from the heart and listen to the river. The river is magnificent and it's beautiful, and it's a teacher, and we're students. We're students of the heart. That's how I perceive this path of spirit. And it's beautiful to just be a student, to listen and to always empty that cup and to get more tea. It's a gift. Yeah, so that's words that come.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you for your bonus. So do you want to do one or two words about, or a couple sentences about your bonus, because it's so unique?
Yeah, so you can go to roelcrabbe.com and then /Dreamkeepers, and you can get a recording of one of my healing songs that I actually made in a studio. So it's a song like this, but with 4 voices that I was singing. And then there's downloads of 3 90-minute workshops that I gave in the past. And you can just, I compiled 3 of them that I think are very suitable for this, for the people that are in this summit. And so, yeah, you can just go there and dive deeper. So that's
and
what
we'll
I
have the
wanted to
link
share.
for that also with this. So
Wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too.
Thank you.
It's been a joy.